Hello ladies, and welcome to this quick little video I'm going to do about work-life balance in this present circumstances. Well, balance overall actually. I'm in what I would call our box room because the boys are doing their homework because we've got obviously school at home at the moment. So excuse the decor, I've tried to make it look a bit better with a few nice ornaments. So work-life balance is kind of my thing. It's what I really focus on, and the reason why I focus on it is because I believe it's the key to being happy, and that's what life is all about. And there are a couple of things that I wanted to share about balance first, and then we'll talk about balance now in this present situation. So the first thing is that balance is not, it's not this thing, okay? So you've got, your fulcrum or whatever, and work on this side, life on this side, and we're in the middle juggling it all. That's not how it is. And when people say balance, you get that image in your head of it being sort of halfway, and it's not. And this is one of the key points, is that obviously we spend a lot more time at work or than we do playing. That's not how it works. And everything in our life is a balance, but it's not a 50-50, and it's not a set number for anything or anybody. So just to give you a few examples, when you think about eating healthily, there's a balance. And for some people that will mean eating green and organic all the time, and then their little other side might be occasionally having a piece of chocolate. For other people it might be, I'm going to have a pudding every day. I eat healthily all day and then I have a pudding in the evening, whatever it is. But the point is, it's not regimented. It's not a this percent and this percent. It is entirely your own recipe. And I think recipe is a better word, but everyone knows what work-life balance is rather than a work-life recipe. So that is the first crucial point. It is entirely your creation. It's what feels right for you. There are people who need to exercise and they need to do an hour a day or whatever. There are other people who feel balanced when they do 15 minutes 3 times a week. I can't stress this enough. You need to know your recipe, okay? And it's quite a good idea to know what your recipe was pre-coronavirus so that we can then bring it into now. So that's the first thing, it's your recipe. And the other thing is that it is movable. So life changes, our circumstances change. When you go from being single to being in a relationship, your idea of balance changes. You spend more time with your partner and less time maybe with your family. Then when you have kids, it changes again. Maybe you have spent less time with your friends and more time than you did previously. The dynamics are constantly changing, and things come out of the blue, as we know. But it could be something like you win the lottery. That would change your idea of balance. You would not be doing your 9 to 5. You might be then thinking, I'll do a little bit of writing in my spare time and the rest of the time I'm traveling. Okay, so life events change our version of balance. So that's the 2 things. It's your recipe and it is movable. So moving on to where we are now, one of the things I talk about a lot when I do my talk on happiness is about getting out of your comfort zone, because pre-coronavirus, a lot of people get stuck in a rut, and life is very habitual, very predictable, and we're doing the same things. 95% of our day is habitual. So you get up, eat the same breakfast, go the same way to work, do the same things each day, talk to the same people, watch the same TV program. And I used to say, come on, let's shake it up a bit, do something a bit different. Well, things have changed. And now, Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and 2 of them are certainty and uncertainty, because we all crave that certainty, a bit of predictability, knowing what's happening, knowing our routine. but we also really need a bit of uncertainty, a bit of variety. And, you know, normally we would get that from maybe doing an exciting hobby or going traveling, things that would shake our routine up a bit. Now, obviously, the world has been flipped on its head. So we have to now, instead of craving the variety in our mundane life, we have variety thrust upon us. We have the uncertainty thrust upon us. So our job now is to focus on the certainty. Okay, that's really important to keep our crap together, is to focus on what we know and what we can control, and focus on the certainty. So in our craving, our balance thing, we've got the uncertainty been given to us. We need to focus on what we can control. And here are some things that we can control. We can, to an extent, control our thoughts. Obviously, it's quite a it's something that you have to work on, because we can all have that voice that just runs away saying, you know, this is happening, that's happening, chitter chatter. But actually, with a bit of practice and a bit of awareness, we can control our thoughts. You know, when you're aware that your brain is doing that whole, oh my God, what's going to happen, and going off on a little rabbit hole of thoughts, we can bring our awareness to it and say, I'm going to focus on the positive. I'm going to focus on what I can control. And one of the biggest, like, what do you call it, a hard hitter for controlling your thoughts, is to think thoughts of gratitude, because you cannot be in a place of gratitude and a place of stress at the same time. So if you can constantly come back to, what have I got? What can I be grateful for? What can I control right now? You know, I'm in a home. I've got my family with me. I've got enough food for however long. I've got running water. I've got the internet. I can communicate, all these things. So go to a place of gratitude, your thoughts. The second thing you can control is your words. And as a mum, this is really important, that we are mindful of the narrative that we're sharing with our children. So we can say things like, you know, depending on the age of your child, you could say whatever you think you need to say to show them what the situation is, but without taking them to that place of fear or uncertainty. So again, focusing on what we've got and what we can control. And then actions. So our actions, what we're going to do is find our new versions of balance by taking proactive courses of action. And I'll go through a few of them now. So we can identify the best version of balance in this time by looking at the different elements. It's almost like looking at a life wheel and looking at all the sections of life that you have. So you may have been working a certain amount beforehand, and now you have to readdress it. So what amount of work can you do to feel balanced? Knowing the new situation, have a think. How many hours can I realistically do, and what does that work look like? And rather than, this is what we mustn't do, is to be an ostrich or to be very rigid and think, okay, I used to work 40 hours a week, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push on through because that's what I need to do. It's stopping and thinking, okay, we are in a slightly different situation. What are we going to do? How many hours work can I do? Exercise. You know, for many of us, our kids were at school, and that would be the time that, certainly for me, that's the time I would exercise, because my kids are out of the house. I could go and do a walk, a run, a bike ride, go to yoga, whatever. That has changed. So how, I still want to exercise. How can we incorporate it and feel that balance? Because if you stop exercising, if you stop working because you're, you know, like a deer in the headlights, it is going to feel very, very uncertain. We need to keep those routines going. So how can you incorporate exercise whilst the kids are in the house? One of my friends does squats while she's brushing her teeth, you know, 20 squats every time she brushes her teeth. There are ways we can incorporate exercise in so that we still feel that we've got that control. We know we're doing what makes us feel good, but we're not putting ourselves under pressure. Chores. okay, I'm fairly laissez-faire with my my chores. I can actually tolerate quite a lot more mess than my husband. So how much can you do? Can you help get the kids to help? Maybe to say, everyone, right, let's all pull together. We're all in the house together. Let's all do a little bit, little and often. Time with your kids. Now I know your kids are going to be home if they're school age and they're going to be trying to get some work done, but that doesn't negate the fact that we need to spend time having fun with them as well. So in your new version of balance, how much time are you going to put aside for play and, you know, being with your kids? If you can get a walk outside, if we're still allowed to do that, what amount of time are you able and will give you the best sense of balance with your children? And obviously schoolwork, how much schoolwork are you intending to do with them? I think it's very much up to the parents. I think schools have given us guidelines, but what will make you feel balanced? And then taking this further, what will make them feel balanced? You know, kids really need routine. So how can we give them that routine, that balance, but also not have it all about working? Connection is another area I've highlighted, because obviously before coronavirus we were out maybe meeting friends for coffee, going and visiting our parents, whatever it is, and now that's been taken off the table. So in order to still feel that connection, what can we do? You know, I'm doing a Zoom meeting with a group of friends I've got this evening. We can still communicate. We're so fortunate to have the internet and all these amazing ways to stay connected. You know, social media, the good old telephone. It's important to know what your balance level is when you know, as regards to feeling connected. And then money. I've put money because, you know, without doubt, a lot of us are going to see a drop in our income. You know, I've had several jobs cancelled. You know, it's going to happen. Everyone is kind of drawing back, and when one person loses a job or an opportunity to make money, then they can no longer spend on another thing. So it's going to happen. It is going to have a financial impact on all of us. So how can we restore that balance? And again, it's not about doing the whole ostrich thing. I'm going to wait and see what happens when we all come out the other end. Be more proactive. You do have some control here. I've had emails from my bank, credit card saying, can you manage? Is everything okay? Can we help? Get in touch with them. If you think you can't make any payments, get in touch. I emailed my social media scheduler company and said, look, I'm going to have to pause this. This is one of the things that I can actually do without. And they said, okay, we don't do a pause, but we will offer you 50% discount for the next 3 months. It's something. Reach out to companies that that may give you some options to either reduce your payment or cut back or pause it. If possible, it's nice to support other people who are relying on you for money. But again, you could maybe offer them, say, okay, I don't know, you can't really, I'm trying to think of an example, but if there's a small company who you're supporting and you think, right, I can't do that anymore, maybe find a halfway house so that we're not cutting off everybody. So we're just trying to keep the little trickle going, so everybody gets a little bit, rather than, you know, getting yourself in trouble financially or cutting yourself off and cutting everybody else off financially. So back to balance. The two main points, it's your recipe. Try and think about what makes you feel good in terms of those different areas I've talked about, you know, health, exercise, time on your own, time with your kids, time in your business. What is the sort of perfect combination and what you can achieve in this new scenario? Okay, and focus on what you can control, focus on what's still normal. You know, we're still waking up, the sun's still shining, the sky is still blue. You know, focus on what's normal. You've still got a house, got electricity and water, and you know, all those things. Focus on all those things that we have got. Go to a place of gratitude, and then take some time to sit down with a pen and paper and write what your new, how you can create your new version of balance now. And like I said, it's just being a bit creative, thinking outside the box, and just going, okay, I can't go for a run anymore. You know, I can't go to my favorite gym or my favorite park or whatever it is. How can I do it now? Rather than saying, I can't exercise, so I'm just not going to do anything. Because that, if we go down that route of, you know, complete reaction and just like, I'm doing nothing except drinking wine at night, we're not going to be in a good place. We can still keep going, still find that balance, and find creative ways to make this time pass in a positive way. And it will all come to an end. You know, it's inevitable that this will run its course, but let's try and be in a really good place so that when it comes to the end and we can crank everything back up again, we're in a good place to get going. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. I will see you all on Friday for the Q&A. Sending lots of love, and stay safe and stay healthy. All right, bye.